The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some independent OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to healthy living and weight loss will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may contain income or earnings representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. OPTAVIA makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with OPTAVIA results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the OPTAVIA income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.
Welcome to our trilogy presentation. We're talking about healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances for the next several minutes together. And we're going to hear some great stories, some of our personal friends, favorite people on the planet. But to introduce us, we are Amber and Jared Smithson. We've been coaching with OPTAVIA for 131 months.
AKA 11 years, in case you don't talk in months, like my husband.
I talk in months because it's like a baby. We're still in our infancy. We're only a decade into this. And I feel like the great John Wooden once said that it's what you learn after you know everything that counts. And I felt like when I started a decade ago that I knew everything. And now I realize how little I actually do. And it's actually a really, really cool feeling to know how much I have to learn. So we like to have fun, as you can see from a couple of our pictures here, for those who are on live. But 10 years ago, 11 years ago when we started, these two pictures on the right of your screen are us in Kona, Hawaii. The one on the left is us on our 10th anniversary. And the one on the right is us on our 20th anniversary just a year ago. And the mental space that we were in, completely different. Even though we were in the same location on the planet, when we were on our 10th anniversary, there was, the entire time I was there, I was just worried about what was happening at home. Financially, we were a disaster. We couldn't afford that trip, but it was the first vacation that we had taken in 10 years of marriage. 10 years later, a year ago, completely polar opposites. Dan Bell, one of our mentors that was instrumental in the business planning of OPTAVIA, he recently used the phrase uncommon freedom. And when I looked at freedom a decade ago, I thought about a whole bunch of things and manufactured a whole bunch of ideas in my head that would be freedom to me. And my view of freedom today is completely different. And so that phrase, that name, uncommon freedom, is it was perfect when I heard him say it, because it's truly what I feel today, because it's not just a financial freedom, but it's also a freedom of time. It's a freedom that I feel free, a freedom to be able to create whatever I choose to in the world that's important to me. So that's what we're going to spend the next little bit talking about.
Yeah, and to go along with that, I think there's a piece. There's a lot of peace when you are practicing the habits that we teach in OPTAVIA. And I really just love the beginnings of OPTAVIA, how it started with Dr. A, and he was one of the top critical care physicians in the country, top of his class in medical school. And he was running one of the most renowned hospitals in the country, and just kind of like catching people at the end, like saving their life and sending them on their way. And he thought, there's got to be something more than this. There's got to be a way that I can move upstream and actually help people create health, because our healthcare system, it doesn't create health, and it's barely a system. I mean, if you get in a car accident, you're in the best country in the world. Our doctors, they will patch you up and they will send you on your way, and thank goodness. Love it.
Incredible doctors.
Incredible. But Dr. Ray, I think like a lot of us feel like, well, what if we didn't need to get to that point, or we need to go in and things are going wrong even when we're at a young age. At a young age myself, in my 20s, I found out that I had high cholesterol, that my blood sugars were in pre-diabetic levels. My energy was just in the tubes. And I had little kids at the time thinking, boy, I teach my kids how to put in a DVD and play it themselves, even when they were 2 years old, so that I didn't have to get up off the couch because I didn't have the energy. And that's not the kind of mom that I really envisioned that I wanted to be. And after dropping, my 35 pounds and just changing my habits, my lifestyle, it made the biggest difference. I was the mom that said, let's go play volleyball, and let's go run at the park, and let's go do something. And that's what Dr. A has really created, is this opportunity for us to really take our lives into our own hands, become the driving force in our lives. And it's about lifelong transformation. It's not about just losing some weight, although people can do that here. It's really about changing our habits.
So anybody who lives on planet Earth, and especially in the United States, knows that health is an epidemic. More than 2/3 of our country is overweight. 1/3 of adults are obese, which puts them at extremely high risk for metabolic symptoms, high blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, things like this. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in our country. Dr. Anderson always talks about the real leading cause of death in our country is emotional mismanagement. Millions of people a year lose their lives because they don't have a community, they don't have the tools to create health. So as a result, they're fighting against disease.
Yeah, and not only just the health epidemic, but in our country, a lot of people are struggling in their finances. And what we want to do is help people to be able to create habits in their life that create health, and not just in their bodies, but in their mindsets and also in their finances.
So we're going to talk about the 4 components of our system tonight, real briefly each one. Independent OPTAVIA coach, the Habits of Health transformational system, our community, and then also our feelings.
And so each one of these, it really just works together to have a system that is so turnkey. And this is what I love about OPTAVIA, is that somebody can come in as a client and they can be plugged into a system. They have someone who's there to help them. They have their book and their life book to be that independent, steady support. They have the community. They have these, community times and inspirational story times. And they have a fueling program that actually works, you guys. I mean, it just boggles my mind. It's like, this isn't, magical algae from the backside of the blue volcano. This is actual habit.
Wait, what? I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you probably haven't been on the internet lately. But on the flip side of that is that everyone has a coach, but there's also that opportunity to be that to someone else. And which is so amazing to me, that we can, as a coach, plug into a turnkey business that has a system set up that is so simple and just straightforward. It's really just about doing it. It's about plugging in.
So we are going to bring on the party starter. Jeffrey, you want to share your story and what kind of give us a couple of the blessings that you've received from being part of OPTAVIA?
I'd be happy to. Thank you, Amber and Jared. I actually think you're the party starters, but I'm just wearing the shirt. Thank you for having me on tonight. And it's so cool to be here with like 1,500 people and share my story. But my hope tonight in the next couple minutes is that I connect with you, the one person that needs that element of my story for you to discover the possibility of what OPTAVIA might provide to you. I actually discovered OPTAVIA 8.5 years ago. I was faced with a debilitating realization that I lived in Arizona. It was March and I was 2 months away from pool season and I was nowhere ready to attack the swimming pool. I say that tongue in cheek, but literally many of us know what that feels like. And fortunately, the OPTAVIA 5-in-1 program came into my world and I was able to get my physical body in shape so that I'd feel comfortable moving into the summer season. Around that same season, friends around me were having that same like debilitating awareness that summer was coming, and they came to me and asked for my assistance, and I thought, cool, I'll become a health coach. But this part of my story is where I want you, as I share the next few components of the blessings of OPTAVIA, I want you to try to find yourself in this story of possibilities. Remember, I started from a place not of wanting to change the world, just to try to get my body back in shape and feel good in my skin. And when I did that, I was faced with two choices: do it or don't. And when I chose to do it, I stepped into a new space, which gave me a new vantage point full of other possibilities. From that space, I was presented with the opportunity to help my friends and become a coach and step into a new space with a new view, with new possibilities. Now, it was at that point that I really discovered what OPTAVIA was bringing to me, which was way more than where I started from with just wanting to have physical wellness. I realized that I stepped into a family and a community, which to me is one of the biggest things that OPTAVIA has brought to me. I spent my life trying to fit in places that I didn't necessarily feel like I fit in. And I feel like we live in a world right now where everyone spends their day on social media and different places trying to find the place to fit in. And I found when I opened myself up to the possibility of being vulnerable with a group of people that were called OPTAVIANs, that all of a sudden I had this family, David and Terry and Dan and Lynette and Tim and Brian and Amber and Jared and the Morenzes and the Tinters and the LaBelles. And all of a sudden I found a place where I was unconditionally loved and supported, not just to live, but to thrive. And imagine how life gets to be, because we talked about healthy body, we talked about that, healthy mind. How healthy is the mind when you surround yourself with people who love you and say, you're amazing? And that's what OPTAVIA most importantly has provided me, is that community. Imagine life if you woke up every morning and knew that you were wrapped in the arms of people who loved you each and every second. That's what I feel. And the third piece that Amber and Jared spoke about was our healthy finances. And I can say that OPTAVIA has provided me the ability to sit here in a hotel room in Las Vegas, looking out over the beautiful Las Vegas Strip, and have that choice because I wanted a different view for a couple of days. But I told you I was going to tell my story so that you could put your pieces together. So let me just sort of recap. Remember, I started from a place of just wanting to look good at the pool. And then I had possibilities. And I said yes to becoming a coach, which opened up new possibilities, which opened up a community, which opened up a lifestyle and the opportunity to see things differently. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from tonight, what OPTAVIA has done to change my life is it has been the vehicle that provides me the ability to have access to the possibility of all possibilities. And you have it right in your hand right now because you're in this place at this time, right in this now. And if there's anything that I would like for you to take is knowing if you lean in and you say yes to the body, the mind, the finances, the system, the structure, and people like Amber and Jared, anything is possible. So thanks for letting me share my story, and I can't wait to see who else's lives become part of my story as we move forward.
So good, Jeffrey. Thank you for sharing. This is why we love, we could call on thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and they'd be able to get on and share from their heart. how this company, how this program, how the community has absolutely flip-flopped their world.
Absolutely. And, you know, we call it the trilogy of optimal health. And no, that's not a Star Wars movie, but
It could
be. I'll tell you that. When you have your stuff together, when you are moving in the right direction with your healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, it is kind of like a fairy tale. I'll tell you that. But we're not perfect here in OPTAVIA, not far from it. But what we do have in spades is we have a community of people who all band together and say, hey, let's go in that direction of growth and be not perfect together. And here's some benefits of joining us crazy OPTAVIANs as coaches is it just reinforces your decision to be healthy. It really does. When you go to each event and you get on the webinars and you become friends with people who also have their health going in the right direction, it just reinforces you going in the right direction. Paying it forward, it makes a difference. It really does. You feel like that you're part of something bigger than yourself. You feel like that you are in your community, that you are providing service, and the company pays you to do that. It's like crazy. It's such a win-win, and it's fun. If you have been on any of our webinars, you can already tell that we have a lot of fun here in OPTAVIA. And for us, it really is about leaving a legacy. Our kids, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were telling me how they waited to go on the Optimal 5-in-1 plan to go in their weight loss space. They waited until their youngest child moved out of the house because they were worried that nobody else would want to eat healthy. And I was like, you're missing the boat. You're missing it. Leaving a legacy of health for your children and helping your kids to be able to cope with their emotions in a healthy way, helping your children to know healthy financial habits. I mean, I can't even think of a better thing that I could give to my children than that.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen our kids paying this forward to their friends, that they sit down with their friends and they talk to each other about how they're feeling and what they're going through in life. Yeah. They're actively trying to actually be there for each other. I recently listened to an interview with a social scientist that this is who I am by education. So I'm kind of a sociologist nerd. And she was talking about the pursuit of happiness. And she said, and she's been studying this over 3 decades. And she's like, no pursuit in the history of the world has caused more misery and depression. Because people think it's a thing or a person or stuff that is going to, they're going to reach a destination of happiness. But she said, the people that in my studies that have had the most happiness are actually in pursuit of meaning. And she broke down the pursuit of meaning into 4 areas. And this is who OPTAVIA is. Number 1 is belonging. Jeffrey talked about that, belonging to a family of people who are pursuing similar things. They have their own goals, but are also passionate about helping other people reach their goals. Number 2 was purpose. There was a purpose that was greater than themselves. They were part of something, a movement. Number 3 was transcendence. And she said, transcendence are those moments in time where your sense of self seems to fade away. In the last decade, I'm 45 years old, almost 46. I've had more of those in the last 10 years, probably in the last 5 years, than I had in the first 35 or 40 years of my life. And it's such a good feeling to just feel like I'm part of the energy of the universe, that I'm just kind of flowing with other people. And it doesn't matter who I am as an individual, even though I am an individual and we're all important as individuals, but that we're just part of this energy that can create goodness in the world. And number 4 was stories, changing the way that we frame the stories of our life.
Yeah.
People that they experience something that originally is seen as negative, and then they reframe that story and they see all the blessings that came out of that. 11 years ago, we had our identities stolen.
Yeah.
The identity theft thieves put us in 6 figures of debt in a couple of months. We were in a bad space, but the greatest thing in the world happened. We took a chance and said yes to OPTAVIA. We stepped into new opportunities, as Jeffrey, new possibilities, as Jeffrey talked about. And our life has completely changed. And I'm grateful that that happened, because I don't know if life would have been fine the way it was if we would have said yes, because we were totally fine being fine. So reframing those stories is so critical.
And this is what I love about OPTAVIA, is that as you become a coach, you have that opportunity to help clients personally, to bring on clients and to just say, hey, let's link arms. You're on the same level as them. You're not there to tell them what to do or to know everything or to be their, you know, black cupcakes out of their hand person. That's not what we do. And an OPTAVIA coach, they bring on clients. And some of our coaches, they choose to bring on other coaches and help train them to bring on clients. And that's just expanding your reach, because we ourselves, most people know a couple hundred people personally. That's pretty typical. But when you're helping somebody else become a coach, they're tapping into more people. And our mission is to get the world healthy. We need a lot of people helping. And that's where becoming a business leader comes in, is that you are helping business coaches bring on more coaches. So it's just a matter of what you want your reach
Creating
to
a
look
bigger
like.
footprint.
Yeah. How many people that you want to help. So on that note, we want to bring on, I love this picture. I don't even know about this, Jared.
Facebook, right? Like I chose this picture because this is what this girl does. She lights up the world. And one of my favorite people on the planet, because she's just this huge personality, but with that personality is this massive heart to help people.
Sarah, we'd love for you to share a little bit about your story.
I love that you guys picked that picture. Mostly because like my transformation with OPTAVIA, like before I started this program, you guys, people who know me now would not have recognized me. I was so shut off from the world. I felt like I had nothing to give. And for anyone who struggled with just like anxiety and those types of feelings, you know, feeling like every time you walk into a room, you're sucking the energy away or that you make people's lives worse. I was in such a bad mental space when I discovered OPTAVIA, and I was just in this yo-yo diet pattern. And every time you do a yo-yo diet and put the weight back, it crushes you more and more and takes away more and more of your value. But, you know, at least it did for me. So when I started this program, I had no expectation it would be something different. I just knew I had a trip coming up and I wanted to look good, right? So I was like, well, let's just do the thing. But as most of you hopefully know, with your program, you get this book and workbook. And the Habits of Health system, I dove into immediately. I worked from home. I set the book and the workbook on my dining room table, and every time I stopped to fuel, I would read a few pages too. So I was fueling my body and my brain at the same time, pretty much 6 times a day. I got through that system in a couple of weeks, and I couldn't believe that I finally had something that was different. I had a coach who was reaching out, and I started changing the way I was acting towards people. So yeah, I lost weight in 2012. I lost 40 pounds, and people noticed that. But the comments I was getting were more, Sarah, you're acting so differently. Like, you're so happy now. You just seem so different. Like, what's going on? And I was able to tell people that I had learned how to live my life with control. I had learned how to recognize that there were things that I could change that I didn't realize I could change before. And so the biggest thing that people saw with me was that I suddenly just actually liked going out, and I was smiling when I talked to them. And like you see, it's infectious. And I had people who were reaching out And I was sending them to my coach because I had another business. I didn't think I would do a good job. I was already doing this other thing, but no one was calling her. And finally, my little sister called me up and she said, Sarah, I want to do your program. I'm like, well, call my coach. And she said, no, I'm only going to do it if you help me. And that's when I realized that I had been hesitating making this commitment, not just to these other people, but to myself. And by making the commitment to coach her, I was making a commitment to myself as well, that this was something I was in personally. And as soon as I made that mental jump to say, yes, I'm going to coach you because this is something that I'm committed to forever myself, that's when really the doors just blew open, and suddenly people were coming out of the woodwork who wanted to team up with me, who wanted to be part of this community, who wanted to coach. And it's been the most amazing thing. Just a little history on me. I got into the workforce out of college in 2000. And I consider myself a pretty competent person. I can work a spreadsheet. I was getting into all these little jobs. And as you know, in the traditional workforce, the whole game is what's the least amount of money we can pay this person to keep them around, right? And so I was getting these lame little salaries. And I walk into an office and, I do a really good job. I have dreams at night about the spreadsheets. And if any of you have ever had the experience of going to a boss and asking for a raise, it stinks. And one time I went to an attorney I was working for, and I told her why I thought I should get a raise, and she just said no. And I was upset. A week later, she was like, oh, fine, you can have the raise. But at that point, I was just so mad, I quit anyway. I'm like, she doesn't even value me. And I decided that I wanted to get in business for myself. And so in 2006, I got into entrepreneurship, started a business, and was working, and I liked being my own boss, but it's a lot of work. When you have your own business, it wasn't turnkey. I was building it all myself. I was investing a lot of money. So once I discovered OPTAVIA in 2012, now not only could I be an entrepreneur and be in charge, but I had this huge support, this huge back office. All I need to do as a coach is talk. My job is to love on people. I didn't have to worry about the business side anymore. I didn't have to worry about the financial side. There's nobody I have to ask if I want a raise. If I want to make more money, I just have to love on more people. So my entire job now is just to love people. And the more people I talk to, and the more people I love on, and the more people I send supportive text to, the better everyone does. So it's been awesome to be part of a community where literally there's no downside as far as coaching. I remember a few weeks ago, I was just having a really bad day, and I'm like, what can I do to fix this day? And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go find some people to love. And I started sending out messages, sending thank you texts to people, just connecting with clients I hadn't heard from in a while. And I ended up finding 2 new clients that day, and it was an amazing day. And it's just because I can tap into my job to get the happiness that I want to create in life. So anyway, that's probably enough time for me, but yeah, coaching has been like head to toe transformational for me, for my finances. And I'm just so grateful for all the people that have trusted me to team up and this whole community.
Sarah, you're the most betterest.
The other side of what Sarah said was, employers only pay their employees enough to keep them from quitting, right? But typically, people only work hard enough to not get fired, right? So we get to work as hard as we want to work to create whatever it is that we want. There's no ceiling. The only ceiling is how much you're willing to love people.
Yeah, and just to wrap up, a lot of people just want to know, how does it work? We have a relational model. There's a lot of models out there that you guys might know about that are about selling stuff and then telling people good luck. Well, that's not what we're about. We're about finding clients, matching them up to actual programs, and then leading them to optimal health and well-being. You're self-employed and independent. You can work full-time or part-time, depending on what you decide, or spare time. Yeah. Low startup and operating costs, no inventory. This isn't about stacking your basement full of stuff. I couldn't do that. Very flexible, no quotas. You're not required to help a certain number of people, but we encourage you to help more people because of our mission.
People are fun. It's fun to help people. And if you want to be funner, help more people.
The most betterest.
The most betterest.
I love it. You learn as you earn. You have a business coach. and a mentorship team. It's apprentice style model where we're going to help you to know exactly what to do, how to plug into the system, how to coach someone, how to match them up with the correct program. And then you work at your own pace. And we love that. So think about it. Consider joining us in our mission to help more people get healthy. But don't think too long, because they'll tell you this, there's a lot of people hurting. There's a lot of people struggling with their healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy finances. And we need a bigger army of people who care, people who say, I'm ready to do something about it.
Yeah, Amber said earlier, you don't have to know everything. Actually, I prefer people don't think they know everything. Like I did. I was a brat, right?
I was a brat.
Richard Branson one time said, if an opportunity comes along, take it and figure out how to do it later. We help you figure out how to do it. Just learning how to love people in the OPTAVIA way. So please join us, reach out to the person who invited you on tonight's webinar, and let's move forward and get our country and the world healthy.
Thanks, you guys.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some independent OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified, and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. In addition, this audio may have contained income or earnings representations of some independent OPTAVIA coaches. OPTAVIA makes no guarantee of financial success. Success with OPTAVIA results from successful sales efforts, which requires hard work, diligence, skill, persistence, competence, and leadership. Please see the OPTAVIA income disclosure statement for statistics on actual earnings of coaches under the U.S. compensation plan, which differs from the international compensation plan. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.